My wife tasked me last minute with making a custom bathroom vanity. She didn't like the pedestal sink we had and demanded I make a new one. She even went as far as to threaten to buy one, buy a vanity off Home Depot.
I don't believe it.
So that means I have to stop everything I'm doing to make one.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
So it's going to be a very simple design using red oak because it matches some shelves. It's going to be finished with Rubia monocoat cotton. Not doing any fancy joint work. I'm going to use pocket holes, pocket screws.
Ew.
Very basic, easy plan. The hinges are going to set on the outside. I'm going to slop this thing together and we'll see what it looks like.
I can't wait.
Here I'm just checking the plans I sketched up real quick, cutting the stock down to its rough dimensions. All this stuff is going to get run over the joiner and sent through the planer, so I'm marking both sides. That way I know when I run it over the joiner that it's removed all the material I need it to. So I'll surface join one side, which is what I'm doing here, set it to the side, and then I'll run that through the planer with that clean side face down so that I know my planer is making a parallel cut on the opposite face, giving me two perfectly flat and even parallel sides. Now that I know both sides of these pieces are perfectly flat and parallel, I'm going to throw some glue on there, glue three pieces together. These are going to be the vanity legs. So they're wide enough to where if I rip them in half, I'll get two legs out of each one. For the sake of space and clamp utilization, I'm gluing all of them together at once, so I just don't apply glue to those middle pieces. Then I can glue it all together at once and they'll come apart. Next up, I'm working on the side panels. So these are going to be thinner, so I'm just getting my pieces to consistent sizes. I'm going to clean up one side because that's going to reference against the fence on the bandsaw. So I'm just resawing these in half, and then I'm going to run them through the planer to clean them up, make sure the edge is joined so I can get a good glue joint, and then glue up these thin panels. I'm not worried necessarily about the strength of these because they're going to be held together, and you'll see that later. I just want to cut some thin pieces, flatten them up, make them look clean, and then get them glued up. If you're wondering why I've got a nice grizzly joiner, a nice grizzly big old bandsaw, a big drum sander, and this crappy Porta-Cable benchtop planer, the answer is because I haven't been able to justify the upgrade. Because the planer, I've had that thing for 8 years and it has been a workhorse. I don't even think they make that model anymore, but it's been very difficult for me to justify the upgrade just because it's worked. Here I'm just showing off what perfectly joined boards look like. If you've got your edges joined, you shouldn't be able to see where those seams are. It should fit together really nice.
Well, isn't that nice?
And then you throw some glue in there and clamp it up. It'll be impossible to find. The only way you'll be able to know is if the grain direction changes. But the gap itself, you should not be able to see. I went years without this joiner and doing big panel glue ups like this. I was actually there just with a vise and a hand plane joining all these, and it was a nightmare. I regret not buying that joiner much sooner. So if you're a hobbyist woodworker and you're thinking about turning a profit on any of your stuff or actually enjoying time in your shop, just buy a big ass joiner. You won't regret it. These are the stretchers that are going to run horizontally, connecting the two sides together, throwing some pocket holes in there.
Coward.
Again, I'm just slopping this thing together. You're not going to see the pocket holes, so you're never going to know. For these legs, once they're unclamped, I just run one of the edges over the joiner and then reference that off the table saw fence. I'm leaving like an 1/8 of an inch or a 1/16 of an inch bigger than it needs to be in case there's any flex left in it, and then run it through the drum sander, and that cleans everything up, makes sure they're nice and square. Then just over to the crosscut sled, popping off these ends.
Suppose you think you're brave, don't you?
I really like the look of tapered legs, especially when you have really thick, beefy, square stock legs. Having that slight taper at the bottom really adds a nice design feature. However, they're harder to do than you would think. You really need to build a custom jig for it. The nicer jigs out there will have toggle clamps and hinges. I just threw this together. I've done this a couple times and I've regretted it each time. It's very dangerous, especially when you're cutting thick stock like this. These legs are 2.5 inches thick, and that's a lot of surface area to touch that table saw blade. You can see I'm getting burn marks on it. Every single time I did one of these cuts, I thought I was gonna die.
Well, that's because you're an idiot.
The side panels are dry from their glue up, so I'm just trimming up the edges to get them to their final size. Quick sanding. I didn't want to waste my time sending these through the drum sander because it would have just taken forever, and it doesn't really matter. As long as there's no glue squeeze out coming out, just give it a quick hand sanding and then use the CA glue, which is super glue, and an activator, which allows it to dry instantly in combination with wood glue. So this allows me to get them glued up, let them sit for just a little bit, and then continue the build process. I don't need to wait for the glue to fully dry. The super glue is acting as the clamp, while the wood glue is what's going to provide the holding strength. So threw some weight on here, clamped them down so they'd stay flat, let them set a couple minutes, and then ran them through the table saw to trim off the excess and make sure both sides were perfectly flush. These pocket holes that I'm putting in now are what's going to attach the panels to the legs. And you can see I'm only drilling them through where those bottom rails are because it needs that thickness. If I was just putting them all up the side, those panels wouldn't be thick enough. So keep that in mind if you're trying to replicate this design. And there you go. Looks pretty nice. Notice the book matched grain on the panels. No big deal.
Who cares? Oh!
And this is what I was left with after the first night of working. This was maybe 3 or 4 hours it took. And then I'm gonna let this set and get after it the next day. First thing I started working on day 2 are the doors. This is the most complex part of the build. I'm doing shaker doors or frame and panel doors, which means there's solid wood around the frame of the door and then a thin panel on the inside. The frame provides the stability and allows the panel to expand and contract inside. The theory is that because of the direction of the grain and how it's constructed, your door should stay pretty flat. If you just tried to do a thin panel for a door, it will not stay flat over time. So the frame provides the strength and the panel just provides obscuration. It just provides a flat surface you can't see through, essentially. So you can see these joints are absolutely perfect.
Yes! 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 Yes!
Resawing some thin pieces, milling it up so I can glue it up to a thin panel that's going to set inside the door. Putting glue on the frame joints because I want that panel on the inside to be able to free float, expand and contract with humidity changes as it needs to. But honestly, it probably doesn't even matter because it's such a small piece. So if you want to glue everything, go for it.
Whatever, I do what I want.
I finished this whole thing with Rubio Monocoat Cotton White. It's a 3-to-1 ratio. You mix the hardening wax with the accelerator. You don't need to use the accelerator. It just helps it cure in like a week versus 3 weeks, something like that. But if you're not familiar with Rubio Monocoat, then you must not watch any woodworkers on YouTube, because this is the only shit that they use. I've been using it more so recently. It's all right. Like, this whole project would have been a lot easier if I just did like a spray lacquer on it. It'd be a lot faster. But I was trying to get this to match some pre-existing shelves that I have. Rubio Monocoat is great. It goes on, but I mean, it's not a miracle finish that these other woodworkers make it sound like it is. It's a hardening wax. When you feel the piece of wood in your hand, it feels like it's been waxed. It's not like a high gloss, high-end finish. It's a dull wax. That's all it is.
Come on, tell us how you really feel.
And of course, my luck, I throw this thing together, it turns out great, and then right at the end when I'm installing it, I gotta peel that caulk off and it rips the paint. So now that's what this is gonna be like until I move out of this house, because I'm not fixing it. So I'm gonna have to live with it. This project is done. Thanks for watching.